Yo, what's going on, J1-CON? Yeah.
Woo! Oh, come on, you guys can do better than that.
Yeah.
How y'all doing?
Yeah.
A little better.
You fool. This is the, what is this? The voice actor panel.
Really?
Yes, I think.
Oh, I thought this was celestial physics panel. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place.
My name... Yeah, my name is Catero Colbert. I play Killer B on Naruto Shippuden, and I play Uetsu Nimaya on Bleach, and Bob on Cannon Busters, and some other folks. How y'all doing? I'm gonna pass it to my right. Yay!
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Hildreth. I'm the voice of Hiro Yui in Gundam Wing, and Terry Bogard in Fatal Fury, and I'm in Dragon Ball Z and a bunch of other stuff. Hooray! Yay!
I am not nearly as distinguished as either of these two gentlemen. My name is Greg Hauser. I am a voice actor from Philadelphia, so yes, Virginia, you can be from the local area and still make a living as a voice actor. You know what? Let me do my anime career just in a nutshell. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Hey, wait a minute, is that a bomb? Well, he seemed like a nice guy. Anyway, moving along with our storyline. I get killed a lot. I have had the pleasure of being in Evangelion, Shiki, Tales of Vesperia, One Piece, Ikki Toshin, and a bunch of others. And frankly, because I don't live in Texas, California, or Vancouver, any of those normal hotspots for animation, what happens to me is I get the smaller characters who are in the background or who show up, have a couple lines, and then die. But it's a hell of a lot of fun. I'm known more for commercial and industrial stuff. So I am, you'll hear me doing a lot of stuff for Intel, for AstraZeneca, DuPont, Lockheed Martin. I'm known for, within the commercial world, for like 10 years, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Mobile, Virgin Hotels, which I guess that makes me typecast as a virgin.
Ha!
Ha ha! Ha ha! Which, yeah. So anyway, yeah. Like I read the book backwards. Everyone, a lot of the anime folks want to do, are like, hey man, we want to do a commercial. And I'm like, no, I want to do more of what you do. But that's how it is. Hey!
Yo, what's going on? So, I don't know, I'll tell some of my journey into voice acting. I've been doing voice acting since I was a kid, since I was like 9 or 10 years old. I started off doing commercials for Kraft, McDonald's, and stuff like that. And when I was a teenager, I wanted to get into cartoons because I used to sit down with my cereal on Saturday morning and watch cartoons, and I'm like, I want to do that. So I took a class. I took Charlie Adler's class. He's Buster Bunny. He's Starscream in the Michael Bay movies, and he's Cow and Chicken. And that was about 2 months, and then I got an agent, and I started auditioning, and I got a small part, and you get a small part, and you get a bigger part, and you get a bigger part, and then one day you get a cool part that people remember you for, and there you go. That was my journey into voiceover. The end. Great panel, guys. I'll see y'all.
That's not the end.
Now you know how to
That's
do
not the end. You're not even halfway through.
No,
That's not the end.
No.
I mean, I had a similar, I guess, sort of journey. Only I started when I was only shorter than this table, and got the opportunity to do some voiceover as like an 8-year-old, and then it was sort of like that. You sort of work your way up, and keep trying and keep trying, and then one day you get lucky and you get to do something that you get to fly all the way to Atlantic City and
That's right.
and meet a bunch of folks who liked your work. So I'm one of the lucky ones. All three of us are.
Yeah.
And to make a living as an actor is a very unusual type of a thing. There's only about probably 5% of us on the whole planet who make a living doing just as actors.
Wow.
So we've all been pretty lucky, I think.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
been damn lucky. I'm literally the poster child for you're doing it wrong.
Ha.
And I got started in voice acting, as odd as it sounds, because I read the manual. And I was actually asked to be background for a TV show called Hack. And that was CBS crime drama filmed in Philadelphia back around 2000 to 2003. It was actually the first CBS show that used high-definition cameras.
Oh,
No, no joking. Now, these things look like anti-aircraft artillery guns. They needed 3 people to operate. There were 2 giant, barrels with lenses on them, and they broke down all the time because it was new technology. Well, if your background, there's a lot of sit around, hurry up and wait for you. And I had finished reading. I was there. One day I actually finished reading what I was reading. I was bored out of my gourd, and I saw these manuals here, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what this stuff is. And I was like, oh, cool. I've been curious about high definition technology myself, so I read, what I was doing. Well, it turns out for the scene that night, the damn thing broke down. And, after waiting for about an hour and a half, I was like, hey guys, you tried doing this. And they're like, thanks, we'll get right on it. About another 45 minutes goes by. I was like, hey, did you guys actually try that? Well, thank you, Mr. Actor. If we need your high value technical advice, we'll get back to you. And finally, I was like, look, guys, it's now 3 a.m. Children are being born, seasons are changing, continents are moving. Just try it. If it's done, I will never come back, and I've got $200 that says it's going to work. $200, huh? Show us the money. So I actually did it. And we tried it. I actually walked them through how to do it, and all of a sudden the thing stops, restarts, and comes back to life. And they're just like, how the hell did you do that? Well, I read the manual.
That's so cool.
You read the manual? Yeah. Next thing I know, I am now a regular actor on Hack, and as a thank you, when they couldn't get a local news broadcaster to do a radio thing or TV, or an announcer for 30th Street Station, they're like, Greg, go with Rob, he's our sound guy, we've got some stuff for you to record. And eventually he's just like, wow, you're pretty good at this voice acting stuff. And I'm like, what? I was like, I'm not a voice actor. Yeah. You sure about that? And that began my long downward spiral. And it, for me, there was a lot of humility involved, because I learned, I was like, wow, he said I'm a natural at this. And I got out there and got my butt kicked and was like, no, but I really enjoyed it. So I kept coming back for further and further beatings, and eventually I started book stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's, like I said, I'm the poster child for doing it wrong.
Well, obviously not, because you were the only one doing it right that day.
Yeah.
I guess, should we just do questions?
Yeah, so this is supposed to be a question and answer panel. I'm sure you guys have a bunch of questions. So whenever you have one, just step up to the mic, and you, sir.
I was just saying, acting questions are great. If, for kicks and giggles, if somebody wants to ask me about computer security or something like that, I love
Right
stuff
on.
like that here.
Speak into the microphone so we can hear you.
Come to the microphone. Okay, fine, I'll go to you.
That's right, yeah.
Your hand raised first.
There you go, that works.
Hi there.
It's on.
There we go.
Is it working, Chris, that mic?
I just wanted to see if you can get your mic turned up, because I couldn't hear most of what you were saying back there. The other bouncing off. Okay. So how do I get lucky in like you three? How do I get lucky in falling upon
Okay.
An acting career and such?
I have an answer for that question. There's really, in my mind, luck is 2 things. Luck is preparation and opportunity.
Preparation and opportunity.
Right.
Okay.
So are you looking to get into voice acting? Is
Yes,
that
yes.
okay? So you should take
Especially on the industrial side that he's on as well.
Oh, right on. You
Yeah,
should
yeah.
take a class within the field that you want to, and at the end of that class, or you can take a workshop. A workshop is just like, oh, hey now. Take a class. A class would be like a month or a week or two, and you go either a day or two, or you can take a workshop, and at the end of that workshop or class, you should make a reel, which is like a demonstration of your capacity as a voice actor. And that's what you will be able to take to directors, casting directors, and agents.
Is there a time length or a time preference on how long the reel should be?
Anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, but it's like little snippets of
different
you.
characters, I guess, and different voices you can assimilate or
If you're doing an anime or animation reel, it'll be samples of voices. If you're doing a promo reel, it'll be 5, 10 different snippets of promos for Target or, Macy's or anything. Yeah.
Do any of you do any type of coaching or have any type of guidance of where to go for like coaching and
There's a lot of people online. Where do you live?
I live in Jersey, actually. Here in Jersey.
I'm sure I'm sure there's a lot of folks in Jersey and in New York. I just don't know the area who will facilitate.
He's in Philly.
He might know somebody who does reels and workshops or voice acting classes. But I'd start there just so you can get the experience. You can get behind the mic. You can learn how to create a character, to tell a story with your voice, to go through the microphone, through the TV screen, into our mind. Yeah, for sure. That's a great place to start.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, this is what happens when you're the background actor. You just he doesn't need a microphone. For commercials, another good way is literally take a look at like the ads in magazines. That's a great one. For cartoon, for animation, even video games. Use comic books. Comic books, basically you take one panel and then go ahead about 3 or 4 and you basically put those together. You usually have a scene.
Okay.
Every type of demo is going to be a little bit different. And you need to kind of understand the industry for voiceover for that particular type. Like the accepted length for an audiobook demo is going to be a lot different than it will be for animation or commercial.
Okay.
So, as far as people, there are a couple of people in Philadelphia who do a decent job. I think New York has a much higher quality level. Like folks like Abacus Audio, Georgia Manley's studio, good places to start. But the big thing is, how do you know when you need a demo? You need a demo when you know you need a demo. Or more to the point, you know you're ready to have a demo when you know you're ready to have a demo.
And like finding a manager or someone to get you started, not to say get you started, but to promote you and get you work. How does that go about? Like, how do you just find someone so for one thing, I asked a question earlier about workshops. So I know you're in the Philadelphia region. Is there any workshops that you're familiar with or know about that you can?
Mike Lemon's place in Philadelphia, really good. Heary Casting. There are a bunch of places up in New York that do it.
Okay.
You'll literally trip over them. And a lot of them are half decent. There are some that are absolutely amazing. Bruce Cronenberg, he runs workshops that are absolutely off the chart. And if you're looking at commercial or promo work on the East Coast, he's pretty much the 1,500-pound silverback gorilla for that.
Thank you guys for your time.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yo.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me well?
Good. How you doing?
Good, good. So, I have 2 questions, but I'll ask a nicer one. In your experience, was there a particular work that you worked on that I guess you had the most positive experience, or also maybe a particular person you may have worked with that you had the most positive experience in your career?
Like in voiceover,
Yes.
specifically.
Yes, like any particular work you had the most positive experience on, or maybe with a particular other voice actor you had the best experience with.
Well, I mentioned for me when I did my very first job when I was only 8. So when I was 8 years old, they made like a remake of this cartoon from the 60s called Beanie and Cecil. Okay? And Beanie was like the little kid with the beanie hat, and Cecil was like the sea monster. Anyway, this was in the 80s, and they made it again, and that was my first opportunity. I was given an opportunity by a director in LA named Marcia Goodman, who used to work for this company called Deke that made a lot of cartoons.
Deke.
Anyway,
I remember Deke.
Remember Deke? So she actually flew a bunch of actors from LA up to Vancouver, where I was living, and it was Maurice LaMarche and Billy West. That's where I started.
Wow.
That was my first job.
That's
right?
amazing.
That's
And they were already like amazing, and then since then, like Maurice has won like 2 Emmys. Like they're like giants in voiceover. But I always go back to like we were talking about. You know, you do what you can. You do what you can control. You take the classes you can take. You make your demo. You try to get an agent. All those things. You can't control the getting lucky part. And that's what I was just going to add to your question. Is just focus on the things you can control. Because for actors, there's so much you can't control, and you'll drive yourself crazy worrying too much about, you know, how do I get lucky? Like, no one has an answer to that. I don't have an answer to why that happened for me. I was just very lucky to be in a room with those 2 guys and a bunch of other great people too. But that's the one I always go back to because it's the very first one.
Thank you.
For me, one of my really awesomest parts was this one-shot WBDC film called Superman versus the Elites. Because I played Coldcast in it. And when I was a kid, I always wanted to work with like Superman and the X-Men. And I don't know how much you know about the process of making a cartoon, but first, you know, your first session, you go there and you just have an iPad and it's you in the room and you just have some words. And then they come back from like 8 months to a year later and they have a good portion of it done. You know, some of it will be black and white, some of it will be stencils, but some of it will be fully complete. So I was in the vocal booth and I saw they were playing picture back and I saw my voice come out of a character that was fighting Superman, and it was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted all my life, you know. And it was a really awesome day. Like I called my dad. I was like, yeah, you know, this happened. You know, it was a really good day. It was a really cool day for me. Yeah.
That's great. I was gonna say, for me, I think it has to do with I think probably Evangelion, and that was not only my first anime, but the first time I've ever had to do really ADR outside of like live action. And it was a little interesting because I came in, they just wanted me to do some WALA, which is, you know, with all actors, that's what it stands for. But the director at the time, Mike McFarland, was like, hey Greg, can you do, you know, something for us? You know, he's kind of, you know, like one of the ground control crew. Well, a little secret is my dad used to be involved with things like the space shuttle and, you know, UARS and Magello and Galileo. And we, you know, my mom at times would be like, hey, look, you know, I'm out of town, so you have to watch the kids. He's like, well, sweetheart, there's a rocket going up. Your problem, Don. You fix it. So I actually had the opportunity to literally sit on the side and watch some of this stuff happen. Well, the scene is I'm being this this technician for ground control for this giant $1 billion robot that goes up. And if it doesn't work, humanity dies. Rocket launches aren't much different because it's a big game of chicken. So I kind of used what I had experienced and observed and created a character for that. And it was something that they weren't expecting. And the next thing I know, Mike goes, you know, there's another character in the scene. Can you do him? And I was like, sure, because I've studied improv for, you know, like well over a decade at that point. And so I did it. And next thing I know, like, I'm getting to, you know, literally having like 3 and 4 way conversations with myself in this movie. But then to see it on screen, because I am a fan of anime, and I've been a fan of anime since the 1970s, which makes me old. But, you know, to see that, and for me, I get such a high just being in the booth, whether it's commercial, whether it's anime, whatever. But I love anime. And to see other people, you know, the first time I saw it, I was actually at Katsu-Con when they premiered the movie. And for me, it was so awesome, not only just to see my performance, but more to the point, to see everyone else enjoying all the work that everyone had put together in what was basically a labor of love. And at that point, I was like, you know what, if I never get another acting gig, if I never even work in another anime or cartoon, I'm cool with it. Because that was just kind of like, you know what, that's the high point of my life, something I'll never forget.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Get a little bit closer. Hold on.
I was saying,
Hello, mic check. Okay. Hello. Okay. This is kind of a 2-part question. What do you find, this could be personal, esoteric, or professional, or whatever, but what do you find most rewarding about voice acting, and what do you find most challenging about voice acting?
Most what?
saddening.
Challenging.
Okay.
Most rewarding and most challenging about voice
Most
acting.
rewarding? All right, I'll start. For me, it's just working, man. Anytime that you can, you know, trick somebody into giving you a job and paying you money to go into a room and make stupid voices, are you kidding me? That's so amazing. Like sometimes I'll be working and I go, I just got paid to do this. I was like, there's people like doing like hard work. Are you kidding me? Yeah, and so rewarding is any time that I get the, you know, ability to work. And most challenging, I don't know. You know, sometimes it's long sessions are challenging on the voice. Like if you're screaming and doing that kind of stuff, at the end of an hour you can be burned. Your voice can be really burned out. That's like the most challenging thing. Yeah, especially if it's like fighting or something.
I think like most often the most challenging and the most rewarding is the same thing, because I find like the most rewarding is when you gave it like everything, you know, when you gave it everything you had, and then hopefully it turns out the way you hope. But that's another thing that's hard for actors to control, is because there's so many other parts of the creative process that we don't get to be part of, like in animation, right? There's like, we don't do any of the drawing, but if you had something that you wanted to try at whatever level you're at, whether you're like, you know, in a sound studio with a bunch of actors, or whether you're trying to put together your demo, or whether you're, you know, just trying to develop your craft and your ability to bring a character to life, when you like really go for it and you're like, okay, I gave that everything I had, I always find that's the most rewarding. And when you sort of like, you go halfway and then you get maybe kind of scared, and then you're like, I'm gonna kind of hold back because I don't know what's gonna happen, that's never rewarding afterwards. you know? Even when you fall on your face, like it's not like there's any actors who hit it out of the park every time. Like nobody hits a home run every time they go up to the plate, you know? So like dispel that notion right at the beginning. Even when you don't get to where you wanted to go, it's like when you gave it everything, you always walk away kind of feeling proud of yourself. Oh, that makes sense, but that's how it always feels for me.
I have to say, for me, it's very much the same thing. You know, I come from a family of scientists. You know, scientists, doctors, even a couple of lawyers. You know, acting, creative arts. That was something that wasn't really part of my childhood. And the most challenging thing for me was to learn to let go of that and just let myself risk, to take those risks when it came to performing. You know, as it turns out, I'm the introvert of my family. And, you know, that literally just learning to get out of my head and to literally get out of my own way and just let me be. That was the most challenging. The most rewarding part was realizing that I could do it. And no, it's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be some stuff that I struggle with. And I've been doing this for, professionally for 24 years, and I'm still training all the time. I am still constantly learning. And I am still, I make mistakes that I see other people are able to handle with, absolute ease. But I know that if I try hard enough, if I leave it all on the stage or all in the booth, I know that I can eventually get there.
And also, it tends to work, too.
Yeah.
You know, like when you really go for it and you're like, I don't know if this is going to work, but you just go for it. It's not like I said, it's not like you're brilliant every time, but it tends to work better than when you kind of only go halfway.
And sometimes, like what you were going for, like you don't quite get there, but you come up with something else that's really good. That's a great question.
Excellent question.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Is there a character in your career that you voice similar to your personality?
Are the characters that we've played similar to our personality?
Oh no! Is there a character that you played during your career? Is there a character similar to your personality, like throughout your career?
Right.
Like, which? Sorry,
Have you? Yeah.
I'm
So
like
have you?
nervous.
Which character that you've played is similar to you? Does that sound right?
I think
That's
so.
the
Is there a
question?
character that you play that is similar to your personality? Right? Is that the question? Okay, yeah.
Well, it ain't Hiro Yui, I can tell you that. That guy's got some issues. Actually, I mean, I have issues of my own, but not quite on the same scale. Thank goodness.
Yeah, his issues have issues.
I don't know if in animation, every character comes from you. You only know you, so you're in a sense you're kind of like trying on a different part of you when you're creating a character that's different than you. But you only know what you know, so they all sort of come from you. In animation, like I don't know about you guys, but I find like they're usually more different than I am because the world of animation is so broad, it's so big, it's so much bigger than life. I've played some other roles like on camera and in the theater that are a little closer to me. I got a lot of Hamlet in me. I do a lot of thinking about why I'm thinking so much.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like, oh my God, I do a lot of that. But so that's the one that comes to mind. But yeah, I don't know. But I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, to echo what Mark said, the thing is, it's sort of duplicitous because as an artist, you can only create from the palette that is your mind and that is your, voice. But what we try to do is what I try to do is use my imagination to be as wild and as crazy as possible, especially with animation and especially with cartoon stuff, because that's where we get to the fun part for me is where I get to not be myself and I get to get into somebody else's mind. If I'm playing an alien or if I'm playing, somebody from the Hidden Cloud Village or I'm playing a god who makes swords, There's a little bit of Catero in there, but I'm trying to reach far beyond, the scope of me as a person and just to bring all the tools that I have to not be like me. But I'm sure there's some in there.
For me, I've always felt that there has to be part of you that's in that character, because we have to take, our experiences, our emotions, those things that make us who we are, and at some point have that as, in our portrayal, because otherwise it's not going to be, the character that we perform, the audience won't be able to connect to it. And if it isn't believable for us, if it's not something we can connect to, then the microphone's going to pick that up. And the audience is going to hear it. And if the audience doesn't connect to it, well, we ain't getting hired.
That's right.
So, there's a little bit of me in, every character that I've ever played, whether it's commercial, whether it's been animation, whether it's been a video game, whether it's even, like the industrial and technical stuff that I do. There have been some characters where it was like I've looked at and gone, well, that's a little bit too close to the mark. I'm like, okay. But even still, the reason why I got cast for those characters was because I was honest with who I am and, that part of my personality, and that's what I brought to the performance. That can also be one of the challenging things for us too, especially if it touches part of us that we don't often like to acknowledge. Like if I'm doing like a really, really bad dude, like something in like Monster, if you guys are familiar with that series. There are some characters in there that are really bad, and the idea of showing that part, that can be very challenging because that's not something we like to acknowledge that we have the capability for.
Hello?
Hello.
Thing on? Oh, good.
Get closer to the mic.
Get closer? Close enough or closer?
Even closer.
Closer, please.
Closer.
Closer, please.
All right. I forgot my question.
It's okay, take your
I guess my question is, do you remember my question? So is there like any role you've done where you would want to redo it? Like, you're like, I love this role so much. If I could travel back in time, I would just, repeatedly on Endless do that one. Or are they all just kind of like, you love them all? Or is this like Sophie's choice?
Every session. I leave the session, oh man, I could have done this like this. I could have done that like that. Or you see it and like, oh man, I wanted to do this like this. So, yeah, for sure. Every time. There's no time that I don't think I get.
It's like when you get in an argument, you leave the argument, you're like, you know what I should have said.
Right, exactly, yeah. So, yeah.
I might have been in that argument point once or twice.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, at times, like you see stuff, you see your stuff, and you're just like, what if I tried it this way? And and the thing is, like, when we have the opportunity, I know I like to throw that into my auditions. Like, if they're going to give me a second take, I'll be like, okay, this is what you asked for. Let me give you what I think you really need. And that's where on the audition side, you can start to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and actually, maybe this might help you with your question a little bit earlier too. I've learned to when we're working, I don't tend to do like other takes, like subsequent to the first take, the same way. I tend to I'm not gonna like go off completely into left field, but it's better to keep it fresh, I find. So you're gonna learn how to deliver a line, and then deliver it again in a way that is real. And in real life, you never say anything the same way twice. It's always a different moment later in time. You're a different person. The world is a different place. Things change, and so you don't get too stuck into a certain way. But just to follow on from what you were saying, I tend to go back. I don't like to watch the stuff that I did before. Honestly, I like to watch it once, and I like to watch it once to see how close what I thought I was doing is to what I was actually doing. And then I'm like, okay, cool. I was close or I wasn't close. It's not that I wouldn't necessarily want to go back and maybe try it again in some cases, but I don't know if I can think of a time where I'm like, oh my God, I completely dropped the ball on that entire thing. Because if you give them something different with every take, they've got a whole palette of colors to pick from when they edit, when they put it together later, which again is not a thing that you have any control over.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's almost like an interesting exercise of this is what I thought was the right way to do it. And then, these are the ways they thought was better than what I thought. And sometimes you agree and sometimes you don't. But it's so kind of collaborative that way that even if I had the chance to do it again, it's not like I'd have the final say on how it ended up being. Does that make sense?
I mean, for me, and I'm very much like you. I'll watch it maybe once, maybe twice, but I am my own worst critic. So I'll just be like, ooh, or I could have done that, or I should have done this. And I'm like, that's just a bad way of thinking. So I'm like, look, let's watch it once, enjoy it for what it is. But what I like to do, especially for anime, I'll listen to it in whatever other language it was originally done in. And, because I also do live action ADR, which is, like stuff like Squid Game and things like that. And listening to how the original actor did it, and especially if it's a language that I'm familiar with, like if it's Spanish, for example. And, I'll listen to that after I've come up with my version of the character and just be like, oh, you know what? I never even thought of doing it that way. That's pretty nifty. And if I like it enough, I'll add it to my toolkit for down the road for another character that's a little similar.
I differ from my co-panelists in a way. I really like my voice, and I can listen to it over and over and over again. I really like my work, bro. And but when I watch it, I'll go, you know what? I want to do this next time because I have a different understanding of how this material is, and if I can. That's what that meant. I thought it meant this. Or in my mind or in my, depth as an actor, I'm going, okay, maybe I can change this or I can adjust my style like that. But yeah, I watch my stuff all day.
That's not true. That's not so different than us. We also love your voice.
I was going to say, I love your voice too.
Yeah. That's true. And that's true. Anyone else? Anyone else want to step up to the mic?
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Any questions? You look like you're thinking about a question. All right.
Hello. Are you working on anything currently?
I'm working on Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War. It's on Hulu. I worked on it last week. Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing a couple of things. It's a weird thing nowadays. We have NDAs for everything. So there's some things. And also, there's a strike,
Yeah.
which is a weird time for us to be appearing, because it's just a thing. But last year I did a thing called Johnny Jet Boy, which is already out. And wasn't a SAG thing, so I'm allowed to say that? I don't know. I don't even know the rules
The
anymore.
animation contract is a different contract.
Hey,
Yes.
that's great. All right. So so that's a Tubi show. What about you?
Let's see. I mean, because of the strike, there is actually a couple of live action things I've been in that I really want to talk about, and I can't.
Those are off the table.
I was going to say, for me, lately it's been commercials. Oddly enough, and I'm going to go out in left field, I apologize. But also because of the strike, I've actually been doing more work in cybersecurity and operational technology. So, like, you will hear me, like I just did a webinar on a standard that I helped develop called IEC 62443, which is cybersecurity for things like programmable logic controllers and stuff like that. And like I was literally just did a webinar for about 1,000 people to do stuff like that because I'm considered like one of the world's experts in that. I'm considered an expert in cryptography as well. Like I said, I come from a family of scientists and overachievers. So, I
don't even know what that word means.
Which one?
Cryptography.
Oh, that's how you encrypt data.
Oh, I thought it had to do with gangs.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was gonna say no. That's like the LA cryptography. No, actually, I figured out back in the 90s that one way to encrypt data would be to take the radioactive half-life, the nuclear decay of an element, and if we can quantify that at a specific point in time. Well, if you do that and use that as a seed, you can create an encryption which is almost unbreakable because it will never occur again. So therefore, there are no collisions within the encrypted text, meaning that cryptanalysis is all but impossible.
Okay, we've been outdone. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's just
Half-life cryptanalysis. It's I don't know what? What?
That's cool.
I make funny voices.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You asked what we were up to, and I'm like, I'm up to all sorts of no good.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Any other
I should
questions?
tell you about the satellite I invented.
No.
We'll talk afterwards.
Okay, deal. That's amazing. I love that. Anyone else? Anybody in the back? These aren't just free seats.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? This is this is
you
a
guys-
panel. You get involved.
Feel free.
Mark, I'm right here.
Yo, what's going on, dude?
Mark, I'm right
Hey,
here.
dude.
Hey, oh, hey!
Yeah, I know that dude.
So-
Hey, I have a restraining order against that dude. That's great. Good to see you again.
Hey, buddy, good to see you too. This may or may not have been asked. I was over at my booth earlier on. Have you guys had any work that you regret?
Sorry. Go closer.
Get closer to the
What
mic.
what he asked is, have you had any work that you regret?
Work that's super great.
That you regret?
Oh, that I regret.
Like basically work that you're not too proud of, if that makes any sense.
That's very different than super great.
Right. That's a converse opposite of super great. Yeah.
Work that I regret.
I have not. Anytime, I've been very fortunate that I have had really amazing experiences. I've worked with some really great artists, and I'm of the mind, of gratitude. Anytime I get to work, I don't care how small the part is, I don't care how weird the part is, whatever it is, man. I'm, very grateful for anything. Yeah, add a piece.
Regret can also mean work that you didn't get to do, if that makes any sense. Like you missed out on. That's what I meant. Sort of.
I have a really great answer for that. No, because here's what I believe. I get the parts that are meant for me. Like, the ones that the universe aligns and you go, boom, this is for you. Now, there's some parts that I would have wanted, but they went to an amazing actor. And I'm sure they did great at it. But I'm of the gratitude mindset is that what you what is meant for you will come to you, and just keep pushing on, because that just meant that part wasn't for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had one part. I absolutely would have loved to have gotten it. And the weird thing is that I did get it. I auditioned for it. I booked it. I went into the studio and I recorded it. It turns out that Bondi was like, we're going to recast everybody. And I was like, man, I really would have liked to have, seen the final product there. But I was just so grateful to have the opportunity to go in there in the first place. And, I never expected that I would, I never started out on this journey thinking, I'm going to make money as an actor. It was, I enjoy this. I have fun with this. And, this is something that challenges me. There are a lot of days where I wake up and, I'll be in the booth and just be like, how the hell did I get here? But I'm really grateful for the fact that I am. By the way, Ramba Rawl.
What?
It was a Gundam series.
Oh, really?
I was Ramba Rawl.
That's cool. I would have to just say that I'd echo what both of these guys just said. I think if you're the whole structure of regretting stuff in general has a very specific kind of nature and way that it works, and it's not a good idea, especially if you're an actor, and especially if you're an actor who's been fortunate enough to work a bunch, to be spending a whole lot of time like that in the past, rewriting how you wish it should have been or think it would have been if it had only something. You know what I'm saying? That being said, I've had lots of not very positive experiences for a variety of reasons, and not necessarily because of my own participation, although I haven't done everything exactly how maybe I look back and go oh, I could have been nicer here, or I could have, but you also run into all kinds of people in our business. Our business is wonderful for a whole bunch of reasons, and then it attracts, unfortunately, some not so wonderful people. So in that sense of regret, I can certainly think of some experiences that I've had where I'm like, wow, that person was a real piece of work. But that's part of it, and it was unfortunately.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say his name, but
I'm on the not nice part. Yeah. I copped to it.
No, it's just and it's not just in our industry. It's everywhere. So for me, I think it's important to you have to be very you have to have a very open heart to do what we do. And if you're the type of person who has a very open heart, this can be a really great type of a endeavor for you. And if you're that kind of person, it's really important to learn how to set boundaries with other people, because that's where I've had experiences that were not necessarily very positive. And I look back on and go wow, that kind of sucked, because I hadn't yet learned how to be this is how far you get to go, and then this is. Does that make sense? Yeah.
I mean, I've had, there are one or two characters, and they've both been for commercials. Well, actually, no, one commercial, one anime, where I was looking back on it, I probably wouldn't have done that. And it wasn't the performance; it was more the fact that, the subject matter or the way I portrayed that character. I was like, you know what, that's, that was a little juvenile, and it wasn't meant to be, like a caricature of some, of a particular group. And, that's kind of what was called for, but I'm like, you know what, in hindsight, I probably would have passed on the role. And it's not something I think about all the time, but it's something that I'm like, you know what, lesson learned. And so I move forward, and I'm evolving as a person, which, hopefully we all do until the day we die. Because that way, those kind of experiences and that kind of self-observation allows me, at least I hope, to be a better person in general.
Ask a good question, get a good answer. That's awesome.
Well, see, the thing is, like, I'm naturally an ass. So I have to constantly try to be better. Just otherwise, karma is going to slap the snot out of me.
Anyone else?
We got time for like one more question.
Yeah. Bueller.
Oh, yeah.
Bueller.
Right, yeah.
Oh, we have a contestant.
Bueller.
Oh,
Come
yeah.
on down. Chuck, let's tell him what he's won. Well, he's won a lifetime supply.
I just wanted to make this quick because I told some online friends. You guys are here. Anyway, whatchamacallit. So, Mark, my buddy is asking, and if you don't feel comfortable answering these questions, that's fine. He was asking if you would voice Deathlock again from Marvel.
If I would?
If you would voice Deathlock again from Marvel, from like Hulk's Agents of Smash, would you take that role again?
Sure.
Okay. And
You can tell him if you ask an actor, would you take a role? It's almost always going to be yes.
99%.
I'll tell him
of the
that.
time, yeah.
I will directly
So
quote
you'd
you.
be like, no, I prefer not to work.
That's right, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. And
No,
Catero,
I'm seeking independent stuff now.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Greg. Catero, my buddies don't have a question for you. They just have a comment.
Okay.
They said, because of your role as Oetsu, you're goated.
Oh,
Just
that's
wanted to let
awesome.
you know.
What's
They
your
said
friend's name?
that. Let's see. I've got one buddy, Alan, and I've got one buddy. His name's Ajay.
Well, tell him I said, you're awesome, fool, you fool. Yeah.
I'll let him know. Thanks, guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming out. That was the voice
Thank
actor
you so
panel.
much. You guys have been great.
Amazing questions. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. All right, good work, man. Good work. That's right.
Bye.